Greetings. I'm making these short clips looking at the life, the ministry, and the friendship, really kind of maybe glimpses, I suppose, of Dr. Martyn Lloyd-Jones and Reverend Ieuan Phillips. They were foot soldiers in the gospel ministry together. They were very best friends. And Ieuan and the doctor were related because the doctor would marry Ieuan's sister, Beth Ann. Well, this week what we're looking at here is Charing Cross, a Calvinistic Methodist a church in London where the doctor attended when he and his family moved to London from Wales. And Ieuan's family was there, which is where they would meet. And you can see down here it says the Welsh Presbyterian Chapel, Charing Cross Road. And it's quite the building. So look at the details of it. Now, I don't even know if this building stands anymore. It's not a church, sadly enough, if it is still there. And this gives you a sense of what it looks like inside the sanctuary. So quite beautiful and quite large. And this is a letter that I wanted to share with you. A little bit hard to read. I'm not going to read it word for word or anything of that nature. We're just kind of going to go through it. I'll make some points. So the first thing is the date. It's January 31st, 1920. So the doctor would be about 20 years old. And Ieuan, being a few years older than the doctor, I would say is probably 22, 23. Second thing I would want to point out to you, it says, my dear Ieuan. Okay, not just Ieuan or dear Ieuan, it says my dear Ieuan. So again, just the warmth and the affection that the doctor and Ieuan had for one another. It opens up by really the doctor, and it's a little bit hard for me to read sometimes when and you kind of just tell for yourself here, kind of take a look at the doctor's writing. And this is actually kind of on the good side, a little bit easier to read than some other letters I have. But the doctor's lamenting a little bit, and he seems to be lamenting just about the difficulty sometimes that he has in putting his thoughts down on ink to paper. And he was trying to explain that because Ieuan apparently had written him, and it's been a while since the doctor had responded to him. So he was kind of sharing a little bit of his thoughts on that. And then I just thought this was just really sweet. It says here, my thoughts and prayers have consistently been with you during the first days of your departure from here. So you can see there's just some words I can't quite make out. But he's constantly on Ieuan's mind is what he's conveying. And since he's left, things are not the same. He says that he's missed from the church. Things are not the same since he's left. He's sharing that. He writes, I miss you most of all. And just really sweet. And then up here, it's interesting. Again, he's 20 years old, so he's, I don't know, I think about 7 years away from marrying Beth Ann. And if I got it right, Logic on Fire, a wonderful video you can buy from Banner of Truth on the doctor's life. I think Beth Ann had like 20 proposals, and the doctor was the first and the 20th, something like that. So it says in here, he says right up here, it mentions, you can see Beth Ann right here. And he says, how is she? You can see that right there, the question mark. How's she doing? Doctor was definitely in love and pursued her and was very much interested, that's for sure. So again, just kind of give you a sense of the writing. And the doctor would also share, there was some kind of conflict. Somebody had lost their temper with him, I believe with him. And so he shares a little bit of that with Ieuan. Apparently Ieuan would know the gentleman. And but he says here, I'm not going to share too many details. He doesn't spend too much time on it. But my point being is that, again, you start off, my dear Ieuan. He explains why he hasn't written back as soon as he would have desired. some of laments over his own characteristics of difficulties of putting ink down on paper. He talks about been thoughts and prayers continuously, how he's missed by all, but the doctor would say, I miss you the most. And go on from here. Gives, again, an update on Charing Cross right here. Things have not been the same. He speaks about the difficulties of this this man that kind of just lost his temper for some reason. It's kind of like suddenly not being very rational, apparently. And then he goes on. He goes right here. Now I want to read this directly to you. Let's see if I can find it. He says that, I'm looking for, Ieuan writes, Ieuan shared, that to pray for him continuously. And the doctor lets him know that he's been doing just that. I don't seem to be able to find it easily here. But again, I wanted to share that with you again, because again, just the importance of good friendship, right? Supporting one another, edifying one another, praying for one another, being honest with one another. And then I guess I'll end it here. It says here, your affectionate friend, Martyn. Your affectionate friend, Martyn. That's just really sweet. Oh, look here. Here it is. I want to read this to you. When the doctor was when Ieuan was asking for prayer, the doctor writes, I have brought your name and welfare before the eternal throne. I just wanted you to see that. I just think that's just incredibly sweet. Okay? So that's just like a recap of the letter. Now, so this is 1920. Now let's fast forward to April 1949. It's Good Friday. And what's the first thing that we find out? It's blazingly hot. Hottest Easter on record. Now, Ieuan, thankfully, wrote really well and didn't write in cursive, so that's nice. But what Ieuan's going to say is that he and the family are staying with Martyn at Ealing, if I'm pronouncing that right, E-A-L-I-N-G. That's where Martyn's home was in London with his family. And he'll comment on here that the doctor would go to Westminster Chapel. And where would Ieuan go? Well, he's still part of the Calvinistic Methodists or the Presbyterian Church of Wales. So he's going to Charing Cross, right, by 10:30. He speaks that it was a very good congregation. You can see there. They were preaching from Galatians 6:14. And the preacher had much measure of freedom, which was excellent. Martyn had a very good service. Okay, speaks about family, being with them and having lunch. And then this is sweet. Martyn and I went into drawing room and slept. Exclamation point, right? So Martyn and I went to the drawing room and slept. A long day already. So, and then talk about seeing family off to the train station. Well, I'll end it here this week. But again, the whole purpose of these short clips is whatever's pure, whatever's lovely, whatever's true, whatever is honorable, set your mind on these things. And again, I just really wanted to emphasize friendship. Just the gift of friendship that the Lord gives us. And I think they had a very sweet relationship. Well, until next time, grace be with you all.